You want to feel old, Ashley?
God. Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel old
Uh,
anyway. You might as well hit me with it.
I just went and spent like an hour and a half in a room for my two sons to be courted by various careers and colleges.
Oh my
We
God.
just we did a college and career fair just now for both the boys. Um,
How is this
it
a
was very
thing?
enlightening. It first of all, they're both going to get some money to go lots of places that they've got choices. And in particular, Remy, we found a really cool place in Lafayette that I didn't know existed. That is
Really?
like, yeah, it's like a entertainment arts. Like they do video games and coding and
That's
filmmaking.
cool.
And yeah, it's like a 2-year type of like a full sail type school. Anyway, cool idea. And it's like not that far down the road. So,
That's awesome.
um, yeah, did make me feel like an old man though.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not 100% certain whether the guy was joking with me or whether they were just going for everybody. But one of them asked if I was also interested in applying at a university, and I was like, I'm I'm here to pay for theirs.
Look, we all have
He
time
was
for a
like,
second chapter. One of my work buddies passed the bar, like went to law school, went to night school to go to law school while she's working full time, and just passed the bar and got a great job with a law firm here in town. So shout out to my friend Katie for being a badass bitch. You can do,
yeah.
yeah, but I still have nightmares that I forgot to go to class, or like I haven't been staying in my dorm room, so I don't know where my dorm is on campus. It is so weird. It's so weird, me wandering around a fictitious version of Louisiana Tech. Like, it's not even the right version of Tech. It doesn't even look quite right, but it wouldn't, because it's been 20 fucking years.
Yeah, the version that's there now would be quite a bit different than what you were
Yeah,
used to
like the
anyway.
professional aviation building was new when we were there. Like, they
I specifically remember when they put that up. But
yeah.
there's like 3 new buildings even just around it now. Um, all right, we aren't here to talk about college plans, ours or others. Although Godspeed to you if you're trying to seek
Yeah.
higher education in this economy,
In this
Ashley.
economy, we have 2 friends that have Jana and Jen both have kids. Their oldest are going to college this year, have gone to college this year, are in
I
college this year.
you know, I mean, thank God that somebody is amping up to take on this project of civilization
Oh,
as we're
oh,
circling the toilet bowl.
I've added
Listen,
nothing to the gene pool. You guys, it's all on you. Please raise them right.
I I just like, and we're not going to talk about politics in this episode, I
Mm,
promise.
yeah, there's too
But
much to talk about.
there's too much. I will just say though, and by the time you listen to this, this is all going to be old news. There will be new terrible news that will have
Mhm,
happened. But
mhm.
like October 18th, this episode will come out before then. October 18th, basically nationwide, there are no Kings rallies again. Like, ladies
Hey,
and gentlemen,
get out there.
the chief executive officer of our nation is not, he doesn't have a personal army, and he's
He's
not supposed to
sure
declare
acting like it.
war on American cities. And yet today we heard from our blessed governor in Louisiana that he is calling them in to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, specifically, and Shreveport as well. So bully, they're going to be there when we're there, I guess. Anyway, none of this is normal. And
No.
the only way that things change is that they hear from us and we flood the zone, so to speak. So
Yeah.
on the 18th, find your rally. There's a rally near you. I guarantee you there is one. There's like 12,000 rallies over the course of the nation. Not quite that many, but almost, I think. And it literally, there's more than there were the last time there
Yeah.
was no Kings rallies nationwide. So
Hey, and look, sometimes just being around like-minded individuals is a reminder that you are not alone, especially if you
that's
were
its
like,
own salve. Absolutely.
yeah, if you're a little blue dot in a big red sea of shit like I am in Arkansas and Joel is in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Now I'm very lucky I live in a I live in Little Rock, which is a big fucking blue blob, thank God. But I mean, or we're surrounded by it. So it's just nice to be reminded that you're not alone. You're not crazy. Don't gaslight yourself. Like let's not let's acknowledge that this is an abusive relationship that we're in with our president, and then we do what's next.
But also, like, genuinely you're not a Pollyanna or an over optimist to acknowledge that people power still works. Like, I know it does not feel like people power works very much, but people power is the only thing that does work, actually. It very recently worked, given a silly comedian back his job on late night TV on ABC, right? Like they had almost 2 million cancellations in a week, and Disney
Crazy.
went, "Hey, you know what? Never mind." And then even the local affiliate groups, Sinclair, was still going to boycott and hold Kimmel off the air. And they said, "Oh, actually, never mind." Why? Because people contacted their advertisers and said,
Yep.
"Stop advertising on the local Sinclair
Your
station."
local businesses. That's what we all did. We reached out to, because we were
Yeah.
one of the ones, like
It worked.
people reached out to the local businesses that advertise during like the news, during those important time slots. And are like, I'm not going to fuck with y'all. And I'm going to tell my friends not to fuck with y'all.
So look, it's not fun to get out on a Saturday and march around in the heat somewhere. It's not fun to put yourself, in the potential ire or wrath of our fellow citizenry that disagree with us.
Mhm.
It's not fun to put ourselves potentially against the National Guard, right? But
Right.
y'all, sometimes that is, in fact, what we have to do. You have to line up and you have to say, no, actually, I won't. I believe the line is, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me."
Oh, that's my anthem these days. I told you that I'm in my Rage Against the Machine era right now. Like, Brett thinks it's the funniest fucking thing. He'll come in and I'm just like blasting it, and he thinks it's the funniest thing because I have gone on a Rage Against the Machine tirade before in his presence, and now I'm just like the biggest fucking fan. I'm now mad enough to really rage against the machine.
All right. So on the 18th, get your ass out there and rage against some machines
Yeah.
in a peaceful, in an orderly fashion.
Right. In an orderly fashion, peaceful
again-
protest is a hallmark of our liberty.
Yeah. And there is a difference. There is a difference between civilization and those that look to tear it asunder. So
Mhm.
anyway, but we got to get out there and get active.
We
So like put that shit on your calendar and get it done wherever you are, wherever you can. All right.
I have a cold.
Let's
I'm
get
sorry,
in.
y'all.
Yeah, I am barely over my own, so don't feel bad
Ugh.
about it. We will use that mute button appropriately. Welcome to the Articulate Coven, the original, unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's immortal universe, The Vampire Chronicles, Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and the Immortal Universe TV series from AMC and AMC Plus. The Articulate Coven is Ashley and Joel, but it's supported by listeners just like you. Find out more at articulatecoven.com/join. All right, let's get into tonight's topic. This is the Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Hello.
Hello.
The Articulate Coven is a podcast and an unofficial fan community about Anne Rice's immortal universe, the works of the Vampire Chronicles and the Mayfair Witches especially, and the adaptations thereof by AMC and AMC Plus. However, tonight, friends, we're talking about vamps otherwise.
Vamps.
We thought we'd do an episode where we highlighted some other vampire books, some other series, some other literature in general
Yes.
that we think maybe you've know of and you're also going to revel and celebrate with us, and maybe you haven't heard it. You can put it on your list. I'd love to hear some of yours that we're going to overlook, obviously. Get that shit in the comments so that Ashley and I can add to our own reading list.
Yeah, because mine is ever growing, and I'm doing really well on my 52 books off my shelf project, by the way. So
Nice.
I'm going to carry that on. So give me new books to put on my shelf.
I'm so I'm not, as we record tonight, we're wrapping up September, so I will not finish The Stand in the month of September. I thought I was going to finish it within 1 month. I'm not, but I'm close. I'm probably 2-3 days away from wrapping up The Stand, and then I've still got a couple of hours left in Sophie's World, the philosophy book that I was reading. And then I think I'm probably going to do maybe the Mr. Mercedes books. I'm going to run through some more.
Joel. They're so good. Yeah.
I'm going to do some more Stephen King, I think.
I like that. I've got 7 hours left on it, and then I'm done with it. And I have to probably go back and clean up some of my partially read pile.
All right, let's start there with Mr. King himself. We covered at great length, I would say, last year, Salem's Lot. We talked about the new adaptation especially, but I had gone on a spree and not only reread the book, but also did the miniseries from TNT and the original TV miniseries and the sequel that they made for TV movie kind of thing, and the series that they made that's like a prequel called Chapelwaite. I watched them all last year.
Yeah,
we talked
you really
about them
went wild on it.
To a degree. First of all, I love, and we have talked about this, the monstrosity of his vampires, as compared especially to Anne's. I think that's a great angle, and it's different enough that it is very compelling in its own way.
Yeah, there's nothing like gothic horror about it. It's not pretty horror. It's
No.
that book is scary. Like, that book's horror. It is, there's some really scary parts of that book. Like, ugh.
We'll say there are some aspects of Orlok, especially in the novel, that seem to imply some sort of connection almost with like a being like what's his name, Leland in Needful Things, where it's more just like the devil come to town, and the Fangs happen to be the guys that he's in right now, but anyway, other than that, am I forgetting some other King literature that's not connected to Salem's Lot?
Yes,
okay, talk to me about some King vampires.
There are a couple of really great short stories that I would love to recommend. I just got the titles right in front of me. One is The Night Flyer. It's fantastic. I really, really like it. It is in, what is it in? It is in, shit. Is it in Nightmares and Dreamscapes?
I was going to, it feels like a Nightmares and Dreamscapes one. I'm fairly certain that I've read that one.
Yep, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. That's a group, also just to plug that compilation of short stories. That's a very good one. If you're like, oh, I want to read a little Stephen King short story, grab that one or Everything's Eventual. Those are like my two faves. But yeah, The Night Flyer, and it's about this reporter, basically. This reporter who's investigating a serial killer, and I won't get into much more than that. But it's really good, and it's a good, like, a good scary, creepy kind of story. So that's one. And then another one that I really, really love and is totally different in like style is called Popsy. Popsy. And I'm giving it away a little bit to even tell you off the top that it's a vampire story, but it's also in Nightmares. That one's in Nightmares and Dreamscapes. And it is, I mean, it has a huge element of danger to it, but it's told from a very different perspective. And then it kind of turns like a vampire attack on its head a little bit. So it's very fun. So those two I highly recommend. He may have a couple of more that I haven't read, but those two are I love those two.
I was going to mention Derek Steele in the Facebook group recently posted about American Vampire, which is a comic book, and I pulled it up to make sure what the connection was. I knew Stephen King was involved in it, but actually he was only involved in the very beginning. So the first 6 issues each told 2 stories. And Scott Snyder wrote one, Stephen King wrote the other. Both were drawn by Raphael Albuquerque. But with the 6th issue, Scott Snyder took over as the sole writer. And then now they've had a few other writers since then. They've done some spinoff series and stuff. But Stephen King's input in those first handful of issues definitely affects the tone of the overall thrust of the thing. That's a pretty neat story. Very different kind of vampire, I would say. Although there is something to the Salem's Lot-esque nature in some of those stories too, where it's like, hey, let's let insidiously take over an area
Yeah.
maybe and control it in a quiet
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Um,
Very cool stuff.
and I will say one of the cool things about Salem's Lot is that it kind of follows a lot of your Dracula tropes, but it doesn't. But it's kind of it's in a very different way. So you got kind of like that comforting guide map of like, oh, I kind of know what direction this is going in, but it's still really unique, and it definitely has, Stephen King's mark all over it.
Oh, 100% it does. I mean, when we did a couple of years ago, we did Midnight Mass for this podcast, and
Mm.
episode by episode. And Midnight Mass from Mike Flanagan is absolutely his take on a Salem's Lot style story, which is very much Dracula coded. And when you go back to these modern adaptations of Dracula, you realize just how much they do have in common.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's the it is very much like Needful Things, right? It's like a town sells its soul in
Yeah.
some way,
Yeah.
whether knowingly or unknowingly. I want to touch quickly on something that I can't honestly recommend it in the modern context, but I have a feeling that I am not the only one that enjoyed it once upon a time, perhaps. We've talked about this author before, but Christopher Pike was one of the authors that I found
Yes.
before I found Anne Rice. And
Love Christopher Pike.
I enjoyed his stuff too. And I think even now, if I went back and read some of his stuff, I would. I will say I have tried in particular to read this series again, and it has not grabbed me in the same way.
Mm.
He wrote a series called The Last Vampire. The first book was published in 94, and then he published, let's see, Black Blood in 94. Part 3 was in 95 called Red Dice. 96 had 3 more books, part 4, part 5, part 6. Anyway, he put those together eventually in a couple of collected novels that they still sell now called the Thirst series. It's like Thirst
Yeah.
number 1 holds 1, 2, and 3. Thirst number 2 holds 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
And
I've
then
been seeing that
he wrote new books.
I've been seeing those in when I because I have been wanting to revisit some of my childhood horror. So I've been looking up all like uh the Scholastic Point horror series, and I've been trying to find like there's no audiobooks up for them, but like when I go to look for like Christopher Pike books on Libby, I see all of those newer ones in that vampire series.
Um, So way back in 2010, Film Nation acquired the screen rights for the last Vampire series. As of 2013, it had been stalled, and that's about all that's happened there. The deal is reported to be valued in the mid to high 6 figures. So there's a lot of this that's very dated. There's a storyline that has to deal with the AIDS virus, which I think in the Thirst versions, the collections that he did, he changed a few of those
Mhm.
plot points. He did something, I think, maybe even with cell phones at one point in the novels too, in their readaptations. I'm sure they're probably not incredibly culturally sensitive either. It has to deal a lot with like Hinduism as far as like the central religious themes of the story. Krishna is a character. The Hindu god Krishna is a character in the books. Yeah, it very much though pointed me into and connected to the parts of Anne's series that I would eventually identify with, which is like a search for purpose and like what does good and evil mean, and how can we live those out in varying shades of existence,
Right.
like Sita, the main character in this series, is a vampire, but um she's a vampire beloved by God, literally blessed, chosen by Krishna. And so what does that mean? Anyway, I really, really enjoyed it. And I I don't think it holds up, but I bet I'm not the only one on here who remembers it fondly.
I bet you're not
Um,
either.
yeah,
Christopher
so that's
Pike was such a big writer when we were teens, when we were teens and preteens, tweens and teens.
just cranking them out too,
Him
right?
and
Like, I
R.L.
mean, the
Stein were
guy's
like,
work ethic. Yeah. I mean, I guess, gather ye rosebuds while ye may,
Yeah,
as they
I
say.
mean, for sure. And we were hungry for those books. Like kids were eating up horror books back then. We were like, I mean, we were real into it. Those were flying off the shelves at the fucking book fair, yo.
You got one you want to get into for a minute?
Well, I do want to. We touched on it briefly, but Midnight Mass. I mean, we gotta. I mean,
Mm.
I know we did a whole series, but I can't not mention it as being one of my absolute favorite horror series. Period. Like it's in my probably top 5 horror series for sure, and it's the best. It's such a fucking great story, and it is complicated, and it's unfair, and it's hard, and it's such a good watch.
I think it might be the best version of that story. Like
It's
that
so
Salem's
good.
Lot, that Dracula,
It's just
that
so
evil
good
come to town.
because
Um,
it's in such a
Genuinely rewarding.
because it's wrapped in such piety, and that's like that's a whole other piece of it is like, the predatory nature of the church itself, and it just has so many layers to it. The people are more monstrous than the monster, like Bev fucking
Well,
Keane is a real bitch, y'all.
oh, dude, what a piece of work. The fact that that series works so well, though, for you and for me,
Mhm.
coming from our own different backgrounds, right? Like
Yes.
that speaks volumes to that can speak to the religious trauma angle and the religious uh uh cult as horror story, whether
Mhm.
you're from the church or not. It plays
Right,
just as well,
absolutely.
honestly.
Well,
Yeah.
there is that because it does show really like and I've said this many times and I don't practice religion at all. Never have, never will. However, I find faith to be really beautiful. I find true honest faith to be a really beautiful thing. And I think it's a gift. And I have so much respect for that. And you see in some of these characters, you see a really true, honest faith. And I think that that's really brilliant to show them alongside the fake faces of the pious.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And even that series does such a good job of showing not even like the bald hypocrisy, but like the insidious nature of those who let their faith be eaten inside out
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
false leaders, right? The
Absolutely.
I think about Dolly, right? Like
Yeah.
Dolly, you don't want to
Yeah.
dislike Dolly, but in the end,
Right.
Dolly's lining up with them. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it does have moments of true terrifying horror. Like that boat scene, the end of that boat scene is just
It's still so
fuck
good.
me. I was thinking about that a couple days ago. It just popped into my head. And I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to watch that whole series again because I need to watch that scene.
I had it on my list of maybes for this fall,
It
actually.
is on my list for sure. I'll be watching Haunting of Hill House too. Like, I'm gonna get my Flanagan on this spooky season, even though I don't have very much time to do it.
Were you a Buffy fan back in the day?
Yeah. So I was a casual Buffy fan. I wasn't like really like a diehard crazy like Jana. Jana was a diehard crazy, but Jana got me more into Buffy than I was into Buffy to start with. But I thought that was really fun. I liked the movie with Christy Swanson.
I had to. I'd love the movie when
I
it first came
loved
out.
that movie. That movie was so fucking funny. And then the series felt so different, but it was
Yeah.
so fun. It was so cool to have a kick-ass heroine, like a lady vampire hunter that was kicking ass and taking names and still looking cute at high school. Like we love to see it.
Well, and for us, especially coming from this world, the fact that they made their vampires even fairly early on sympathetic and
Romantic lead,
um
you
yeah,
know?
but not just sympathetic, but also like complicated morally, right? Like
Yeah.
even Spike
Yeah.
fairly early on has some appeal, and you see to yourself, oh, well, there might be something there, and then
Well, they
obviously
took
that's
that
a long game.
took that character on such a journey too. Like he came
Yeah.
on as just like a bad guy, just like a fucking basic vampire villain, and they really, really let that character and that actor turn that into a true like character arc and journey, which was really fun. Um, yeah, the Buffy has one of the scariest television episodes of TV I've ever seen. I think about it every once in a while, and I get so creeped out I want to cry. It was called Hush.
Oh, the silent episode. Yes. It's
Ugh.
so good. It's
God,
so
I fucking just got goosebumps just talking about it.
I
That
wondered if you
creeps
were
me
gonna
out
say the
so
body.
bad. No, that's so sad and that was really hard. That was when that episode where her mom
That
dies,
was
and
rough
that's
for me. Yeah.
rough.
That
Very
was so
rough.
rough.
Just heartbreaking. But no, that fucking episode of that Hush, ugh, it was so scary.
So I saw the movie in movie theaters with my then girlfriend. Like we went to the mall in Monroe and saw the movie when it was in theaters. And when the Fangoria and whatever started talking about that they were going to redo it as a TV series, I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic." And they're letting the original writer, take a more serious look at it. But the very idea that you were going to get an expansion on the idea of the Watchers, this
Yeah.
Talamasca-like organization, right? Which we had from Anne's novels, but we never imagined we were going to get to see on
Yeah.
film, and
And
yet
if
we
you
were going to
also
get that in Buffy.
if you happen to be a fan of Highlander at the same time, which this was
Yes.
we had such good like fantasy sci-fi shit going on in our world when we were teens too. They had a version of that too. So you had
Yeah.
all these different, so it was this kind of cool like crossover sort of thing that you had this idea of this group that watches, observes, interferes when they have to some degree, but really is not supposed to interfere as
Just
much
a
as
little
they
bit.
do. So I love that. I think that was something that made, I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons why I like that concept so much and why I'm so excited about Talamasca is just because like I loved all of those characters that did that job in those series too.
Buffy's coming back, right? Didn't I hear
Yeah.
that?
Buffy's getting a reboot.
Without
yeah.
Joss Whedon?
Without Joss Whedon.
So we can be excited for it?
So we can be excited for it. Turns out if someone's an abusive piece of shit on set, maybe you don't let them come back and work on their pet project, even if they did a good job with it.
Let's see. In February 25, Variety reported a Buffy sequel series was nearing pilot order at Hulu without Whedon's involvement. Geller was set to reprise her role and serve as executive producer. Gail Berman, Fran Kaz Kuzi, and Pardon. Chloe Zhao was appointed as the pilot's director. Nora and Leela Zuckerman credited as the writers. New series would feature a new Slayer as the primary protagonist, while Buffy would appear in a recurring role. Rhiannon Kira Armstrong was cast in the lead role. Filming for the pilot began in Los Angeles in August 25, and additional cast members were announced.
It's exciting.
All right. I am down for
happening.
that. Also means that I get to go find it. I never watched Angel. I saw episode of Angel ever.
Oh, I watched the first few seasons of it, and then I got like too busy with life to pay attention to it. But I really liked it. They had a really great character. The actor I loved him. The actor actually completed suicide while he was working on that show. It was really fucking sad. But I loved that. It was really fun. It was fun to get to see, because that was kind of like a weird, like, I don't know, it was almost like a procedural sort of like.
Yes.
It had that kind of vibe to it. It was really fun. I liked it. And I do think that's something that I hadn't thought about it, but that's kind of got a Talamasca vibe to it too, potentially, of what we may see in the series.
Well, like they work for the law firm that's like
the
Ancient Immortals,
Wolfram and Hart,
the Devil Law Firm, or whatever. Right.
Wolfram and Hart, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For something, let's transition from there though to a series that I think a lot of our listeners and watchers have gotten into. The Sookie Stackhouse series. So obviously it was on HBO for years as True Blood. It's on HBO Max now. You can stream it with Anna Paquin and what's his name that played what's his name? God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see his face.
I know, right? I can't
Isn't she
find him at
married
all.
to him?
Bill Compton. Yeah, they were married in real life. God, what's the actor's name? I still can't find it here.
True Blood.
Stephen Moyer. Goodness gracious. Yes,
Oh,
Stephen Moyer.
That's not who she was married. Is that who she was married to? She was married to?
They were married. They were married. I don't know if they still are. They were absolutely married for a
Yeah,
while
no,
after they
they're
started
still
doing this
married.
show.
Yep, Stephen Moyer.
Yeah.
They've been married since August of 2010. Huh.
So we've talked about the books on the show a little bit before. The Sookie Stackhouse Mysteries is how the series is known, and there's a bunch of them. Have you read any of these before?
Nope. Not a one.
I have read quite a few.
And I want to. I need to go hit the used bookstore and just pick some up is what I need to do. Because I've been meaning to. It's been on my my to-do list. I haven't even watched the series, to be honest. I didn't have HBO when it came out. But
so the series is a mess, especially you and I especially are bothered by it, I think, because of the accents and the geography. We literally have lived in these areas. And so when they are in effectively Minden, Louisiana, which is Bonton, Louisiana, the town that they live in is basically Minden, which is in the center of North Louisiana. It's like right in between Monroe and Shreveport.
Where no one wants to live, by the way.
No one wants to live there. But let's say you did live there. Okay. You can't just decide to go to dinner in New Orleans if you live in Minden. And they do all that. They're like, oh, let's just go to New Orleans. Let's go to Shreveport. Let's hang out in Shreveport for a while and then go to New Orleans. You're like, no, actually, you can't. If you're at a club in Shreveport because you're a vampire and you own a club there and you don't fly to New Orleans, you're not going to get to New Orleans before morning time. Anyway.
I mean, it's a solid drive still. You're looking at probably at least 4 hours, right?
The books, I think, especially the first few, are pretty interesting. They are a really light look at a supernatural world like this.
Right.
They are very much told from a romantic perspective.
And they're sexy, aren't they? They're sexy little books. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sexy books. These vampires fuck in a way that ANs do not, directly anyway. Dead Until Dark is the first one. Living Dead in Dallas is the second one, and Club Dead is the third one. And all three of those I would recommend, honestly, if you want something light and fun. Those are pretty good.
I'll start with those then.
And honestly, the first couple of seasons of the TV show are pretty decent too. The cool thing that I think the TV show did, that is not like a direct adaptation from the books, but every single episode of the TV show ends on an actual cliffhanger, like Sookie's being grabbed, or someone rises from the dead, or somebody gets bitten, or
is that
whatever.
Like a trope
every
in the books?
episode.
Do the books end on cliffhangers?
No, so the books often very much hint that the story is not done, right? Because she's writing them back to back to back, but it's not the way that the TV show did. And especially when you think about the fact that the TV show was made pre-streaming era, right?
Yeah.
Like we were watching this week to week on HBO, not one right after the other on Netflix or something.
Right.
It's weird to think about that they very much had. I mean, if you go and watch this now and you've never seen it before, you will absolutely think to yourself, Netflix does this. There were several Netflix shows that do this same, oh, I've got to watch the next one right now.
Yeah.
And True Blood does a good job of that, honestly.
See, and I like
it goes
a show
off the rails
that I
eventually,
binge.
but it's
I like
fun.
A show I want to binge. Look, listen, I started watching Grey's Anatomy. I think I've told that story about how it happened to me. Thanks for you, Paige. Go fuck yourself. But at any rate, that hospital's blown up again for like the 5th time, and here we're still gonna watch it. We're gonna watch the aftermath of it. Someone's gonna die in a fire. Everyone's gonna say they're not gonna watch it anymore, and we'll all be back for season 23.
We can't not talk about True Blood for a minute and not mention Alexander Skarsgård's character from the TV show, obviously. So he plays Eric.
This is a pro, by the way.
Northman.
This is a pro Skarsgård podcast. In case you
We're
did
both
not know.
100% pro Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Speaking of Skarsgård, here's some vampire literature. If you've not watched it, I sort of say Wayward Pines. That's not the name of it. What was the Skarsgård vampire show that he was in? It's Vampires and Werewolves. Bill is in this show. It was called Hemlock Grove. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, yes. I haven't watched that.
Okay.
God, he's so good, that poor actor. He's so creepy. Bless his heart.
He's so creepy. So he plays the Roman Godfrey, kind of the main character of Hemlock Grove. Famke Janssen plays his mother
I
in the
love
series, and she's
her. Oh my
amazing.
God, I love her.
And then Landon Liberon plays Peter, who's like the second lead in that series. Great series. Lots of fun. Hemlock Grove, if you haven't seen that, it's out there. You can check it out for sure. But Eric Northman, the character that Alexander Skarsgård plays in True Blood, is the most Lestat coded of any of those
Oh,
characters for
yeah. I
sure.
mean, I
He's a
definitely
Viking.
got that vibe from him for sure. Just in the
Yeah,
little bits and scenes that I've seen, definitely got that vibe.
yeah, I mean, he's the one that most plays with the aesthetics of vampirism, right? He's the one that is the least apologetic about his nature, and yet also has the most like thorough and unbendable code, which is very Lestat. You know, like I have my own rules, and the fact that you don't understand them or approve of them
Right.
does not make them any less perfect, right?
Because reality is a state of mind.
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
I think
okay. Go ahead.
No. I was just thinking about Skarsgårds, and it's and I was like, I honestly think Stellan is my favorite Skarsgård. I love Daddy Skarsgård so much.
Boy, if you go look at young Stellan, he's got all the looks of either one of his sons for sure. But also,
he has kind of like an
go
old man
watch
crush
him
on
in
him for a
Andor.
hot minute. Yeah, he's incredible in
He's
Andor.
so that's just the one scene where the guy asks him, like, what did you give up? What did I give up? Peace of mind, hope for the future. You know, like, oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, such a great series, such a great series. He's fantastic in it. I was gonna say, if you're on that Buffy pathway and True Blood doesn't hit for you, a book series that might, as a kind of spicy grown-up version of it, is the Anita Blake series from Laurel K. Hamilton.
See, and I haven't read any of these either.
Oh, Ash. Okay.
I know.
I can
That's why
strongly...
I said, I was like, Joel, I'm kind of shitty at vampire series. Like, but I have more than I thought I did, to be honest. Like,
okay.
But
well, I'm going to tell you, this is one that you ought to fill in some of the blanks on. Now, Anita Blake has gone some places, friends. Laurel K. Hamilton has written, I would argue, too many books in this series. Slay came out is the 30th entry in the series as of 2023, November 7th. And then she's written some short stories as well. They did Marvel comic adaptations also.
That's what I'm seeing right now. That's really, that's cool.
Okay, the comics are pretty good, and I'll give you that. That's a great end to the series. But the first 9 books, I would argue, are all really, really solid, and she doesn't go overboard with the sex instead of the narrative that you're there for, right? Like, I like my books to be sexy. If I want to read porn, that's not generally my reading time, right? That's a different set of activities that I'm into.
Well, this is where women get their porn, Joel. Women get, seriously, more women get their porn from saucy books than anywhere else. Those Bridgerton books, I can't listen to them at work. I'll blush, my God. But yeah.
And see, I'm fine with that. But like, okay, here, I'll tell you exactly where I dropped off the series. I read all the way to 13. The 13th book is called Micah, and it's named for one of her many boyfriends. At this point, Anita is fully polyamorous. She's got multiple shapeshifter boyfriends and a master vampire that she's enthralled to in some capacity. And the narrative of Micah, it's like maybe a 300-page book, and I was 250 pages in before she got to the city where she's supposed to do the job that book's about. And it had just been sex scene after sex scene until then. And she wraps up the whole mystery in like 50 pages. I'm like, it's not for me.
You're not the target audience for her.
Yeah. Now, that book is cool. The whole series is neat, I think, and especially those first few are really awesome because Anita does not want to really be part of this world. Anita is she is a zombie raiser. She discovers she's got necromancy powers, is what she realizes.
Damn.
But she raises zombies for a living. That's like her job. And she also has been recently authorized as the like regional vampire slayer. So in this world, vampires have recently gained their legal status, and they are citizens just like everybody else. But if
That's
they get out of
interesting.
line, they can be ordered to be executed, to be neutralized, staked. And so she's one of the people in her region of the country. She lives in St. Louis,
Shit.
Missouri, and she is the regional vampire slayer when the authorities have a problem. So
Damn.
it's like, it's got vampire politics, it's got supernatural politics, because there's also shapeshifters in this world, and there's like actual magic in this world and everything. And there's lots of sex, and it's really good too. Laurel self-inserts herself basically as Anita. Like if you go and look at Laurel K. Hamilton, the author, she's a short little brunette that's, saucy, badass attitude.
I love it.
Buxom young lady, and her main character is basically a perfect version of her with really good aim.
Dude, she's from Heber Springs, Arkansas.
I thought she was maybe from Arkansas.
She is.
I wouldn't have sworn to that, but I thought that
Holy
might have been the case.
She's from a cute little lake town just up the road.
So she introduces a character named Edward, who is a like assassin for the supernatural, basically. Like he's a guy who was like a black ops guy, and then he was a straight up hitman for a while, and then that became too boring, and now he's an assassin for the supernatural. So like if you are a vampire, duke, and you want another vampire court member, taken out, Edward's the guy that you pay to get. Edward becomes friends with Anita. They become colleagues, and they work together at different times on different things. The 9th book that I mentioned earlier, Obsidian Butterfly, is basically all about Edward. He's like the major character in that book, and Anita goes to help him specifically, like gets out of her world and gets into his. And it is such a different take than anything else that the series has done up until that point. And yet deals with a lot of these same tropes that we love in this other literature that we've talked about so much. I cannot recommend this series enough. If you haven't read any of those, read the first one. If you don't dig it, you're not going to want to go all the way to 9.
Right.
But if you like that first one, you can go 9 or 10 deep without missing a fucking trick. There
are 30 books in this series.
It's too many. It's too many. I'm telling you.
Smolder and Slay both came out in 2021. I mean, 2023, sorry. Now, I can't talk. Stephen King right now is like cranking out 2 or 3 a year.
But at least his are doing different series. That's my thing. Is I don't think now.
I mean, he's on his Holly kick. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he's on a big Holly kick. But yeah, it is different stuff.
So Laurel has written a couple of other series. She's got one called Mary Gentry, which is about the Fae. It's connected to the Anita Blake universe. Like it happens. And they cross over. Sometimes the Fae show up in the Anita Blake books at different points and stuff. But that series, I think, goes even more directly into the sexiness right away, whereas Anita eases into it.
Ladies, if you want a little softcore Fae porn, get on it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I got one more big one that I want to get to in a minute, but let's hear a couple of your ideas first.
God, what else do I have? We talked about Buffy. We talked about Stephen King. I mean, good old Dracula. We beat like a dead horse.
If you haven't read that original book, though,
and let me tell you how I reread Dracula. This is really weird. And actually, I caught myself reading 2 books at once doing this the other day, and I thought, I need to stop this because I'm pretty sure I'm about to open a wormhole or something. There is a website that you could go to, and you can type classic literature, like practice your typing and literally type a whole novel.
That's fascinating.
It is. My typing skills are hella good now. I've typed Sense and Sensibility. I typed Pride and Prejudice, and I just recently finished typing Dracula.
Born, I grow up.
And also,
fascinating.
I'm now working on 1984, which, if you haven't read that, no time like the present. But yeah, no, so it's just very silly website. And I'm always looking for, because when I have downtime in between like testing at work, I'm like, I want to stay busy and at my computer in case like anyone needs anything. And when I'm not working on like a little coding project, this is kind of how I pass my time. And
Dracula is
I
one of
type.
those. Dracula is one of those, I believe, like the Lord of the Rings, that you
Oh,
can sign up to get emails, right? Where they send it to you like it's a journal, like day by day as it happens on
cool.
the calendar.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that
I
was a
think
thing.
yes.
Oh, oh my
I
God.
know I know there are people who do both of those on Twitter that way, and I'm
Oh,
sure they still do it,
shit.
probably do it on Threads too. But I am
Mm.
fairly certain that both of those have versions that you can get via email
Well, and it is
on a day-to-day basis with the calendar.
it's public domain. So you can read Dracula for free any old time you want. What is it? The Wittenberg. What is the project? What is the project?
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg.
Yeah. Project Gutenberg.
Yeah, Project Gutenberg, where like you can just go read anything that's like public domain for free.
Named for the great American actor Steve Gutenberg,
Right,
of course.
the Goot, as we know him.
Okay, spinning off your Dracula really quick. I want to mention this one as a runner-up. This is, I think it's a series. I think there are a couple of spin-offs of this. I only read the original though. Anno Dracula came out in 1992. It was written by British writer Kim Newman, and it's a sequel to Dracula. It's an alternate history where Dracula has won, right? So instead of the end of the Dracula novel where Dracula's killed by Van Helsing, he kills Van Helsing, and he ends up not only, winning and succeeding in his slow takeover of Great Britain, but literally becomes the prince consort to Queen Victoria and like takes over British society and therefore all of European society, et cetera, et cetera. So like the series delves into
explains Prince Philip.
right, but it really much like there are humans who decide to turn, and then there are humans who stay warm. And the novel itself revolves around the story of Jack the Ripper, who is killing vampire prostitutes.
Holy shit. I love that. What's the name of it again?
It's really cool. It's called Anno Dracula, and there have been
Anno
a few
Dracula.
sequels since then. But yeah, the first one is the one that I've read. It's great.
So great. I thought of one that I forgot about, but that's really fun. I have not revisited it probably since high school, maybe early college. Vampire Hunter D.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yes.
That might have been the first anime that I ever saw.
It's some of the first anime I ever saw, aside from like The Last Unicorn and that sort of thing,
Yeah,
again,
good call.
I had a good buddy in high school, junior high. Courtney introduced me. She got me into Star Trek. She got me into all kinds of fun shit. She's the first person I watched Clue with. So like, yeah. So she introduced me to Vampire Hunter D, and I thought it was really, really cool, really fun, really interesting, exciting, scary, kind of creepy. It's good. It's fun stuff.
The guy who got me into Vampire Hunter D for the first time was I call him my nerd librarian friend.
Yeah,
he was
I love that.
He was like probably a junior or maybe a senior my freshman year. He was still living in the dorms. He lived in the honors dorm, and he had a library, literally a library, like a whole wall of his dorm was covered in VHS tapes, and it was like every episode of Red Dwarf. Right. And every episode of The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan. And he knew about The State on MTV and like had all of that on episodes that you could borrow. Right. But he turned me on to The Prisoner was the number one thing that he turned me on to. That Patrick McGowan series will like, if you've never seen that, that'll blow your mind. Go watch that shit. It's amazing. But he showed me Vampire Hunter D for the first time too, and I was like, "They make movies like this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them."
There's a bunch of them. Yeah, absolutely. It was a good Vampire Hunter D was a good gateway drug to more anime and things like that for me.
Okay, There is an author that I fell deeply in love with, and I've been revisiting some of his works recently. I think I'm up to either the third or the fourth book is the last one that I read. I can't remember which one, honestly. The Necroscope series from Brian Lumley, another British author. Okay, so the Necroscope series centers around the character Harry Keogh, and he is a necroscope. What does that mean? It means that he can talk to the dead. He is
Okay.
not a necromancer. A necromancer has to coax out the secrets of the dead, right? He's not a necrophiliac or anything like that. He is a necroscope. He can hear them. He can hear them and they can talk to him. And because so few people can ever in the history of human beings talk to the dead are madly in love with Harry from the
Yeah.
very beginning of his existence, right? As soon as they see his little spark of existence come into being, they love him and they want to help him out. And so from very early on in his life, he is helped out by them. For instance, he's bullied as a kid in school. So a former army boxing coach and like boxing champion teaches Harry how to box. And so now Harry can beat the shit out of his bullies, right? And protect himself. He eventually learns really crazy secrets from the dead because in this universe, the dead just continue to do whatever it was they did in life. They continue to do it after they're dead. So he goes and talks to mathematicians. And in particular, he meets Mobius, the guy who came up with the strip, right? The eternity symbol. And Mobius teaches him how to travel through time and space. So Harry Keogh becomes not only somebody who can talk to the dead and gain their secrets and their abilities, but he can also literally open a door and go anywhere, anytime.
How old is this character?
When we first meet him in the series, I think he's in his early 20s, I guess. By the time he gets tangled up with vampires, and most of the series becomes about his war with vampires, I think he's probably in his late 30s by the time like that actually gets going for real. But the series is like super convoluted. There's been a bunch of individual books. I think there's like 6 in the first series. Then there's a sequel trilogy called The Blood Wars, which are about 2 of his sons. And then there are like Necroscope The Lost Years, where there's a period in between 2 of the books where Harry's like disappeared or something, and then the author went back and wrote those adventures, and here's 3 or 4 adventures that you didn't know about that Harry had when he was in between those other stories,
Right on.
And then since then there have been sequel series, I think at least 2 or 3, where it's like other people have gained the power of the Necroscope via some piece of Harry's cosmic consciousness or something, after he passes away or whatever later in the series. So really, really cool. Very heavily features this British group called E Branch, which is think James Bond, but it's all psychics and telepaths and stuff, right? Like one of the people who runs the branch at one point, his power is that he's just incredibly lucky. Like
I love that.
If he leaves the house early, like all the lights will be green or whatever.
Yeah.
If he buys a lottery ticket, he'll always win, anyway, it's very, very neat how it's like it layers the spy stuff and the vampirism and the supernatural generally, and it puts all of that together. The Blood Wars trilogy, which are about his sons, that takes place in the world where the vampires come from, which is its own fucking unbelievable thing. The vampires in this world are like, it's very much body horror. Like they can shapeshift and change, and I don't know. There's elements of it that are like a little Cthulhu inspired. Brian Lumley has written some other books that are literally in the Cthulhu mythos as well.
Oh.
So he dabbles in that world too.
He dabbles.
Again, really, really interesting series, very different than Anne's stuff. These vampires are real fucking monsters, man. There are not sympathetic creatures among them. They're few and far between anyway.
It's nice to have some good scary vampires to be afraid of. I like that. I don't want all of my vampires to be like that, but I want want to have, and I like campy vampire shit too. You know, like that's why
Yeah.
that's why that Buffy movie was so fun. It was very silly. Paul Rubens dying in that is one of the
Dude.
funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. You know, just brilliant.
That was one of the first times that I remember a post-credit sequence too. Like they come back to him like twice in the credits.
Yes, it's so funny. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul Rubens. Shout out to Pee Wee Herman. What a guy.
I'm trying to think if I've forgotten something that has had a big effect on me or that I've gone back to. I think that's about it.
You've had so much more time to read vampire series than I have because I reread The fucking Stand once a year.
I'll tell you, if you're going to commit to The Stand, like that's a slog. It's 47 hours at least, y'all. Like that's a book.
I can read it probably faster than I could listen to it. I think that's my problem with that audiobook. I've never gotten all the way through that audiobook. And I think it's just because it's my book. I know in that book, the feel of that book in my hand. I know exactly what happens where.
Yeah.
I can hear the voices better. I know those characters. I mean, I've been reading that book since I was 13. Like I've been reading it like pretty regularly. I don't completely read it once a year, but I at least revisit it once a year, you know. And
have you read the new one? The short stories collection?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because that's one of my favorite sections of that book is that section where I always call it the No Great Loss section, where it's like he's telling stories about people that like die in the aftermath of the plague. And those stories just have stuck with me. Like that woman that the gun explodes on her and the young girl whose husband and baby died, she ends up getting locked in that freezer. Oh, fuck off. It's so good.
Probably my favorite section of Salem's Lot, and I think they do it 3 separate times in Salem's Lot when he goes around for a chapter and tells individual stories in people's houses, like what they were doing on that first morning after the town had been totally taken over by vampires, right? And here they're all laying in wait because they need to wait for dusk.
Yeah.
And this house, they know something's going on, but nobody's talking about it over their breakfast cereal, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
I love those chapters from King. All right,
so good.
You tell us, folks, what did we miss? What vampire series? What vampire novels?
Oh, we didn't mention it, but Blade's
literature?
one. Hello,
Oh,
I fucking love Blade. I love all 3 of those
that's a good idea.
I love all 3 of those movies, even the shitty third one. I think that Wesley Snipes was fucking iconic in that role.
Yeah.
Fucking iconic. And I will sit and rewatch a Blade movie right now. If you were like, let's watch Blade, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's watch Blade.
I'll just say, no spoilers, but the character of Blade does appear in Marvel's Zombies, which is an animated series. I think it's 4 episodes right now on Disney Plus.
What
if
did
you're
you say?
interested in that too. Blade, the character Blade appears in Marvel Zombies. It's a 4
it's so good.
episode
Have you
animated
watched
series.
it?
Oh, no, I haven't watched it yet. No.
Oh,
is it really
Joel,
good?
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I was going to mention that
Excellent.
before we signed off today. Because if we talked about things that we're watching right now, we just binge watched that like this past weekend.
Nice.
So good. It's really, really fun. Highly recommend as we're rolling into the spooky season. If you're a fan of Marvel and liked the What If zombie episodes of that, this is just that all the time.
When they talked about that, when they first talked about the Zombies series itself, it was not going to be a follow-up to that What If episode, but I think it is a follow-up, isn't it?
Well,
Doesn't it follow on from that one?
It at least has the same vibe. You know, like, I don't know that it's... like, I haven't watched that episode in a minute, that What If episode in a minute.
To see if they actually keep the character through line, yeah.
No, and I would say, I don't think it completely does, but it is worth a watch. It's really quick. It's if you want to binge for a couple of hours, it's a real easy binge. And most of your most of the actors are actually doing the voices, so it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because, like, it seems from the trailers that I've seen, the ones that they didn't think they could get to come do the voices, they just made them zombies so they didn't have to vocalize.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Your Chris Evans does not appear except as zombie Chris Evans. Yeah, exactly.
Since we're talking about zombies, I just will mention here, If you've ever seen the TV show and you enjoyed it, then I would strongly suggest going and reading the Walking Dead comic.
Oh, they're so good, y'all.
Especially like the first 100 to 150
Oh.
issues or whatever. Like the beginning of that story is just
it's so
every bit
good.
as good as the TV show, if not better,
Well,
honestly.
you remember, if you go back to the very beginning of that TV series, Frank Darabont was running it, and he is the man. He was the man before Mike Flanagan became my new man. But
Yeah.
Darabont knows how to tell a story. He understands pacing. He understands the importance of character and empathy and conflict. He just gets it. And that first season is so tense and scary and confusing, and it does follow the comic quite closely, the first season and a half, and it is fucking great, those books. So I struggle with comic books because I didn't read them as a kid, so I find that I have to really work hard to not skip pictures to go to words. But for some reason, what? It's funny.
I was
isn't
just
it?
going to say, no, I have a very similar problem, Ashley. I've often think to myself, I'll get to the end of a comic and I'm like, there's no way I'm supposed to read it that fast,
What I
right? Like I'm
miss. What I miss. Yeah. And it's not like I'm not a snob about comics. I think comics fucking rule, and I want to be able to read them better. So that's the reason why I started reading the Walking Dead ones. And you can buy hardback compilations of like a good number of the issues together, and I highly recommend that because you're going to burn
Let
through them
me
pretty quick.
let me suggest too, if you can get a good digital comics reader that does the panel by panel zooms, this is a great way to slow down, right? Because you can
Okay.
click. I don't know if you've done this before,
I
but
have.
especially on like an iPad or even on your phone, right? You can go through and read the comic, and it literally will frame one panel for you. And then as you click, it'll go to the next panel, right? And move the image dynamically.
Suggested this. I have been asking for fucking comic book tutorials for fucking 10 years now. 10 years since Marvel movies started happening.
First of all, I think you can do this from your library. You can go like on the Libby app or whatever, and you can download graphic novels. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And most of those will have a similar function too. But if you buy comics, for sure, like the Comixology app, which is owned by Amazon, I know does this, and I think most of the others do as well. But yeah, that's what you want, is like frame by frame.
Yeah.
And it fills up your image, and so you can really appreciate the artwork in a more like detailed fashion.
All right.
Also, for someone who's like used to scrolling, right? They're sliding through TikTok or Instagram. You get that same sort of dopamine hit as you go panel by panel, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
Just if you're going to get into comics, The Walking Dead from that same author, I would say Robert Kirkman's Invincible is fantastic, which does superheroes. And then the other one that I would recommend strongly, then you can get these in graphic novel form, like collected editions, is Saga, which is like a space opera, enemies to lovers sort of story.
Nice.
Set against the backdrop of a galactic war. It's real good. It's real good. Anyway, not vampire stuff though.
No.
What vampire stuff did we miss? That's what we want to know in the comments. Tell us.
Because I know we missed some.
We'll list all of
sure.
these. Yeah. And I would love to get a new series or two.
I want to watch some scary vampire shit. Like 40 Days a Night, kind of fucking scary. Like.
Yes. 100%. I will say we mentioned her a couple of weeks ago, but I do want to slot her in here quickly. Rose Sinister. We had her on recently. She's going to be doing our tour guide. Her second novel in the Crimson Debt series is going to be out soon, I think in 2026. So you can pre-order it now, I think already, but you can get the first novel, This Crimson Debt.
I'm really going to try to read that before our
trip.
trip. I'm very excited to read that.
I've started it, but it's on the back burner as I try to race through the end of The Stand.
Hey, the world's ending, Joel. You got to keep up.
Genuinely, things are going badly for Flag currently. That's where I was. He did not like how things were going. That's where he is. He's unsettled.
Is he throwing people off balconies?
He almost did a minute ago, and then he played very nice because they had some things to tell him. So he stopped being a crazy person.
Fucking villain, that man.
It's really, really, and it's interesting having done some of the of the Dark Tower now. I've done,
Yes.
3 of those books as well.
He's in the Eyes of the Dragon, if you've read that.
Yeah,
that was
he's in
my
the Eyes of the Dragon, exactly.
First introduction to Flag was in Eyes of the Dragon. I started reading The Stand, and I was like, is this that same asshole? And my dad was like, yeah, it is, babe. And I was like, yes!
But that very idea of that's one of the things, honestly, that I do feel like Anne's universe is missing, is some sort of overarching antagonist. The consistency of Flag across the King multiverse, as it were, as an emissary of evil, and one of its chief do-batters. We don't have anybody like that in Anne's. I mean, Amadeo is a real dick.
Yeah, but he's
not
we're supposed
inherently
to love
evil.
him. We're supposed to love all of them.
We're supposed to love him. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the ones we don't like, we're supposed to like at least a little bit. You're still sad when they get,
Yeah, there's a couple of real schmucks that you get to meet in that final trilogy that we're getting up to here.
Excited.
But even there's nobody to that level of a Flag.
She doesn't keep anyone. Yeah. She doesn't keep a villain really around much longer than a book. A book and a bit, maybe, with a caution. No. But no.
You either join the team or you are dispatched with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, folks. We'll try to have all of those listed in the show notes for you too. So in case you were listening to the conversation, we're like, what was the one that Joel mentioned? What was the one that Ashley said?
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to go back a couple of these. That one that one of the last ones you mentioned, I really want to check out too, and it's not on my radar at all. So.
Yeah, the Necroscope series, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the spies meet vampires, and there's some real cool shit in that one. Yeah. Anyway, tell us what we need to put on our list to get into next, and especially Anna Dracul. I only read that one. If you have read any of the rest of that series, I'd love to hear about that too, and where it goes. I know they do. I'm fairly certain there's like a World War II novel in that universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, you got to think, right? If Dracula's in charge of Great Britain, what happens when the Nazis come to power in Germany?
This is the one that I need to read. This is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah.
Anna Dracul, especially because you're into Jack the Ripper a little bit. I think that would be way up your alley.
Yeah. And I love history. I'm really into history. I like historical fiction a lot. Very into that.
All right, so next week, we're going to be talking about Anne Rice's life. We're going to talk about the phases of her writing. And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to be tier listing the vampires and ranking our favorite vampires from Anne's worlds, the Vampire Chronicles specifically.
I have to start on that. I have to start taking my notes on that.
My guess is Vittorio is going to be way down there toward the bottom, Ash. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil y'all on that one.
Alphabetically and also legitimately.
All right. Until next week, we have been your hosts. I am Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thank you for sharing this time with the Articulate Coven. Support the show as either a free or paid member at articulatecoven.com/join. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Find more from the Coven with our sister show, Flan Again, covering the works of Mike Flanagan.